The crew of the Deadliest Catch would be like, yeah, I didn't sign up for this. Night of the Crabs, the 1976 novel by Guyan Smith. In tradition of the Rats and Jaws comes a horrifying experience with vein-pinching sequences of hold-your-breath action that'll make your blood run cold. The plot! When the full moon rises on the Welsh coast, a pack of giant crabs make their way on shore to feed on locals in their vicinity. After witnessing the attack for himself, Cliff Davenport now has enough closure convincing him of what had killed his nephew and his nephew's fiancée, as well as several other bathers. It doesn't take long to convince the military that are stationed nearby that the meaty menaces are there. However, it won't be long until the crabs grow bold and travel inland while feasting on any morsel they can pinch up. They're impossible! They're invading! They're indestructible! They're crabs. Reading my first Guyan Smith book was a long time coming. I have collected enough of his works and figured I'd start off with one of his more popular long-running series. Engaging is one word that describes this book perfectly. It's a real page-turner that reels you in with a big ol' net. Smith's books are not all that deep, at least not this one. They tend to be straightforward with no padding nor minuscule details. Thus the book's short length of only around 150 pages. While I read this book, I was never bored and was quite pleased when I closed the back of the book in completion. Back in '76, it had been a year since Jaws came out, and people were picking out other killer animal titles off the bookshelves like wildfire. Quite a few of these titles even became films. This book actually had a deal with Amicus Pictures to be made into a movie. Somehow, some way, somewhere along the lines. Amicus got full custody of the film and made it into 1980's Island Claws. Guyan Smith didn't even know a movie was made until a friend of his gave him a tape that at first was blank, but then it was revealed to be Island Claws. He thought the film was rubbish. I kind of wish they did make a proper adaptation for the book, using miniatures, monster suits, practical effects, and good old stop animation. It could have made it a fun watch. One aspect of the book I find a bit jarring is that Cliff Davenport and a woman by the name of Pat are constantly fumbling around with each other. On the lookout for crabs? Sexy time. Feeling defeat? Sexy time. It was a bit over the top, which works for the nature of the book when it comes to the carnage, and maybe the destruction sequences too, but hell, the book could have been originally called Moaning in the Time of Monsters, and I wouldn't have been surprised. This color-grabbing quote on the book says that it's in the tradition of The Rats, which came out 2 years prior. Both The Rats and Night of the Crabs are UK titles, so it was clever and truthful marketing. It's a fun time with the over-the-top nature, inserted sex at random sequences, the abundance of an animalistic threat, and how could we forget the gratuitous blood and gore? Let's talk about the grubby stuff. The gore! While The Rats is far more graphic, this still has some bloody sequences. Innards ripped from one's belly, people torn in two, limbs snap off with crazy claws, and it's a grubby mess. There is also some action-packed invasion parts too, mainly when the military steps in and tries to destroy the crabs. A train sequence diverts us from the army attack and shows us that the crabs can cause serious damage. And while everything is wrapped up into a nice bow, those last 5 pages are still taut, fast, and tons of fun. I read this book in a short time and was pleased by the ferocity of the killer crabs. The monstrous beings are definitely threatening. They are not revealed immediately, which makes it all the more eerie when Cliff and Pat see them for the first time. Even though we, the audience, and the two characters on the lookout know it's killer crabs, the scene is greatly effective regardless of a somewhat weak build-up. I look forward to reading more from Mr. Smith. He's got a knack for taking a simple premise and making a book that is a hell of a good time to read. At the end of the day, Night of the Crabs is an engaging thrill ride with bloody carnage, explosive action, sexual playtime, and some crazy crustaceans snapping the Welsh coast a new one. Overall, I give Night of the Crabs, the 1976 novel by Guyan Smith, a 3.5 out of 5. 5. Now, before we all wrap up, I just wanted to show you guys something that came out recently. This is the new edition of Night of the Crabs. It's $14.99 on Amazon, which is a great deal and great binding for a book that is going upwards of $100. I got a good deal on this one, but this is pretty much strong paperback, and I'd definitely recommend you get it. It's on Amazon, again, $14.99. It's probably on Guy N. Smith's website, too. Lion Brain Cat, a host of Horror Show Entertainment. Make sure to like my Facebook page in the description below to leave comments and subscribe.